In the quiet neighborhood of Shepherd's Bush, West London, Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth welcomed someone they had met before, a man they trusted. Just days later, two suitcases were found abandoned on the Clifton suspension bridge in Bristol. Inside were human remains. Police traced the horror back to the couple's apartment, where more remains were found sealed inside a chest freezer. What started as a personal arrangement had spiraled into something darker, a calculated betrayal, spanning cities and leaving behind a crime scene that would shock the nation. Today, we delve into the unsettling case of Yostin Andres Mosquera, a Colombian national and adult industry performer who stands accused of the brutal murders of Albert Alfonso, 62, and Paul Longworth, 71, in their Shepherd's Bush flat on July 8, 2024. Mosquera, who had a history of visiting the couple for paid sexual encounters, allegedly killed Longworth with a hammer and fatally stabbed Alfonso during a filmed sexual act. Following the murders, he reportedly dismembered the bodies, storing the severed heads in a chest freezer and transporting other remains in suitcases to Bristol's Clifton suspension bridge, where they were later discovered. Evidence presented in court includes Mosquera's online searches for serial killers, property values, and banking information, as well as attempts to transfer funds to his account in Colombia. He has admitted to the manslaughter of Alfonso, but denies both murder charges. The trial, which began on April 29, 2025, continues at the Old Bailey. Albert Alfonso, 62, originally from France and a naturalized British citizen, and Paul Longworth, 71, a British national, were a couple who had been in a civil partnership since February 2023. They resided together in a flat on Scots Road in Shepherd's Bush, West London. Neighbors described them as very nice, quiet, and happy, noting their friendly demeanor and regular presence in the community. Albert, known for his passion for swimming, was a retired swimming instructor. Paul, a retired handyman, was recognized for his helpful nature and willingness to assist others in the neighborhood. The couple led a private life, often seen together and engaging warmly with those around them. Their relationship with Yostin Mosquera, a Colombian national and adult industry performer, began through online interactions. Mosquera had visited the UK multiple times, staying with the couple during his trips. The nature of their association involved Mosquera engaging in sexual activities with Albert, for which he was compensated. Paul was aware of this arrangement and accepted it, although he did not participate. The tragic events that unfolded in July 2024 shocked the local community and the nation. The discovery of their remains in suitcases near the Clifton suspension bridge in Bristol and additional remains found in their home led to a high-profile investigation and subsequent trial of Mosquera, who has been charged with their murders. Yostin Andres Mosquera is a 35-year-old Colombian national known for his work as an adult content creator under the alias I Am Black Master. He began producing explicit material around 2017 and built an online presence across various platforms. Despite this public-facing role, Mosquera kept much of his personal life guarded. His relationship with Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth was both personal and transactional. He frequently visited them in the UK, where he engaged in sexual activities with Alfonso in exchange for money. The couple had also visited him in Colombia, suggesting a deeper and longer-standing connection. In the days leading up to the killings, investigators say Mosquera made online searches related to serial killers, real estate values, and ways to dispose of human remains. These digital traces raised suspicions of premeditation and added a chilling dimension to his profile. The relationship between Yostin Mosquera and the couple, Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth, was complex and multifaceted. Mosquera, a 35-year-old Colombian national and adult content creator, had been in contact with Alfonso for several years. Their interactions were both personal and transactional, with Mosquera engaging in sexual activities with Alfonso in exchange for payment. Longworth was aware of this arrangement, but did not participate in these encounters. The trio's association extended beyond the UK. In March 2024, Alfonso and Longworth visited Mosquera in Colombia, indicating a deeper connection. During this visit, they were seen together in various settings, suggesting a level of familiarity and comfort among them. In June 2024, Mosquera returned to the UK and stayed with the couple in their Shepherd's Bush flat. During this period, he was treated as a guest, with Alfonso even signing him up to use a local gym and play five-a-side football. However, prosecutors alleged that Mosquera had ulterior motives. Evidence presented in court revealed that he conducted online searches related to the value of the couple's property, methods of killing, and the purchase of a chest freezer. These actions suggest a level of premeditation leading up to the tragic events of July 8, 2024. On the morning of July 8, 2024, Albert Alfonso left the Shepherd's Bush flat to begin his shift as a swimming instructor at a local gym. His partner, Paul Longworth, stayed home. A neighbor later reported seeing Paul speaking with them around late morning, suggesting everything appeared normal. Around that same time, Yostin Mosquera, still in the apartment, conducted a disturbing internet search in Spanish asking where a blow to the head would be fatal. Just minutes later, he also viewed listings for chest freezers online. Prosecutors believe that Mosquera then attacked Longworth, striking him on the back of the head multiple times with a hammer, killing him instantly. His body was allegedly hidden under a bed. Later in the day, when Alfonso returned from work, he and Mosquera reportedly had a sexual encounter, during which Mosquera fatally stabbed Alfonso multiple times in the face and torso. Court evidence includes camera footage from the couple's bedroom that captured the entire sequence. After the killing, Mosquera was seen singing, dancing, and accessing Alfonso's computer, allegedly trying to retrieve financial data. On the evening of July 10, 2024, 2 days after the killings, Yostin Mosquera was captured on CCTV dragging 2 large suitcases across the Clifton suspension bridge in Bristol. A cyclist stopped to speak with him, thinking he was a tourist. When asked about the contents of the bags, Mosquera claimed they held car parts. But something was off. Bridge staff and the cyclist noticed one of the suitcases leaking. Before anyone could stop him, Mosquera abandoned the luggage and fled the scene. Police were called to the bridge. Inside the suitcases, they found dismembered human remains later confirmed to belong to Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth. When investigators searched the victim's flat in Shepherd's Bush, they found additional body parts stored in a chest freezer, including both victims' heads. The disturbing nature of the evidence prompted a national manhunt. Mosquera was arrested 3 days later at Bristol Temple Meads railway station. He later admitted to the manslaughter of Alfonso, but denied both murder charges. After the killings, Mosquera remained inside the couple's flat for 2 days. Prosecutors alleged that during this time, he began a deliberate effort to conceal the crime. He used the victim's computer to search for bank details and attempted to transfer money to his account in Colombia. Investigators also discovered online searches for ways to clean crime scenes and dispose of bodies. He purchased a chest freezer through Facebook Marketplace and moved both victims' heads into it. The rest of the remains were dismembered and stored in suitcases, which he kept in the apartment until July 10th. Perhaps most disturbingly, surveillance footage from inside the flat captured Mosquera singing, dancing, and appearing completely calm in the hours after both killings. Prosecutors say this behavior demonstrated a level of detachment that further supports the claim that the crimes were premeditated, not acts of passion. When authorities searched the victim's apartment in Shepherd's Bush following the discovery of the suitcases, what they found inside was even more disturbing. In a chest freezer located in one of the rooms, police discovered 2 human heads later confirmed to belong to Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth. Investigators believe Mosquera had specifically acquired the freezer days before the murders. Digital evidence shows he browsed online listings for second-hand freezers and arranged to collect one via Facebook Marketplace. This timeline led prosecutors to argue that the freezer was not a panicked decision made after the fact, but a crucial part of a pre-planned effort to store the victim's remains. The flat also showed signs of careful cleaning, suggesting that Mosquera took steps to sanitize the scene before leaving for Bristol. Police found tools, cleaning supplies, and traces of bleach. This level of preparation raised serious questions about intent and pointed to a methodical approach rather than a spontaneous act of violence. On the night of July 10, 2024, Yostin Mosquera was seen hauling two large suitcases across the Clifton suspension bridge in Bristol. The act might have gone unnoticed except for a cyclist who stopped him, curious about what he was doing. Mosquera claimed the bags contained car parts, but something didn't sit right. The cyclist noticed fluid leaking from one of the suitcases and alerted bridge staff. Within minutes, Mosquera had vanished, leaving the luggage behind. Police arrived shortly after. When they opened the bags, they made a horrifying discovery. Human remains, later confirmed to belong to the two missing men from West London. A second suitcase was found nearby, also containing body parts. What started as a suspicious scene on a historic bridge had suddenly become the center of a nationwide murder investigation. After abandoning the suitcases on the Clifton suspension bridge, Yostin Mosquera disappeared into the night. Authorities launched a manhunt across the region, releasing a photo of the suspect and urging the public to come forward with any sightings. Surveillance footage from the bridge and nearby streets gave police a clear timeline of his movements. In the following days, law enforcement tracked down his travel history and monitored transportation hubs. The public was warned that Mosquera could be dangerous and may attempt to flee the country. He was eventually located on July 13th at Bristol Temple Meads railway station. Officers approached cautiously, and he was taken into custody without incident. The arrest brought an end to a tense 3-day search, but the investigation into the full scope of his actions was only just beginning. Yostin Mosquera was arrested on the morning of July 13, 2024, at Bristol Temple Meads railway station. He was alone and appeared calm when police approached. Officers had been monitoring the station based on intelligence, suggesting he might try to leave the area or board a train heading toward an international connection. At the time of his arrest, Mosquera was reportedly carrying personal belongings, but no additional evidence tied directly to the murders. Still, his prior movements, the CCTV footage from the bridge, and the overwhelming forensic evidence from the flat and suitcases made him the prime suspect. After his arrest, he was transported to London for questioning. There, under legal representation, he admitted to causing Albert Alfonso's death, but claimed it was not intentional. He denied murdering either man and initially described the events as a tragic result of consensual activity. This version of events, however, was sharply contested by prosecutors based on the volume of digital and physical evidence. The two suitcases left on the Clifton suspension bridge contained dismembered human remains. Forensic examination confirmed that the remains belonged to Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth. Their torsos, limbs, and other body parts had been carefully separated and packed to fit into the luggage. Investigators noted that the condition of the remains indicated a deliberate effort to preserve and transport them. There were signs that the bodies had been cleaned, and some of the remains appeared to have been frozen before being moved. This level of preparation led police and prosecutors to conclude that the murders had not only been planned, but that Mosquera had also anticipated the challenge of moving and concealing the victims. The gruesome discovery at the bridge shocked officers at the scene and became one of the most disturbing elements of the case. As the investigation progressed, Mosquera's digital footprint became a key part of the case against him. Forensic analysts recovered a series of internet searches from his devices that painted a chilling picture. Days before the murders, Mosquera had searched for the value of the couple's flat, ways to access banking information, and even how to disable security cameras. More disturbingly, he also looked up methods of killing, disposal of bodies, and whether a blow to the head could be fatal. In addition, he visited online listings for second-hand chest freezers and arranged to purchase one, which was later found in the victim's apartment containing their heads. Data from Alfonso's laptop showed attempts to log into banking systems shortly after the killings. Prosecutors allege Mosquera tried to move money from Alfonso's account to an account in Colombia. These digital traces not only suggested premeditation, but also revealed a possible financial motive behind the murders. Yostin Mosquera's trial began at the Old Bailey in London in late April 2025. The prosecution, led by Diana Hare KC, presented a detailed and methodical case, arguing that the murders were premeditated, financially motivated, and carried out with chilling precision. Jurors were shown CCTV footage, forensic images, and digital evidence. They also heard about the footage captured from the victim's own bedroom, which reportedly showed Mosquera committing the acts, followed by him calmly walking around, singing, and even dancing. The defense acknowledged that Mosquera caused the death of Albert Alfonso, but claimed it happened during consensual activity that spiraled out of control. They argued that Longworth's death was not proven beyond reasonable doubt. Mosquera denied both murder charges but admitted to manslaughter in the case of Alfonso. The trial attracted widespread media attention due to the brutality of the acts, the unique relationship dynamics, and the defendant's demeanor both before and after the crimes. As the courtroom proceedings continued, the central question became not whether the killings happened, but why and with what intent. Prosecutors have suggested that the motive behind the killings was rooted in greed, control, and careful planning. In the weeks leading up to the murders, Mosquera had conducted searches about Alfonso's bank accounts, the value of the couple's property, and ways to transfer funds internationally. He also browsed listings for second-hand freezers and researched violent methods of killing. These digital traces, combined with his attempt to access financial information after the deaths, pointed strongly toward a calculated plan to benefit from the couple's assets. The prosecution argued that this wasn't an act of rage or confusion, but a deliberate effort to eliminate two people standing in the way of financial gain. Some investigators also believe Mosquera may have harbored resentment or a sense of entitlement, feeling owed for his years of involvement with Alfonso. Others speculate that once the killings began, he crossed a psychological line, committing further violence not out of necessity, but out of detachment or even ritual. In court, the prosecution emphasized that motive wasn't just about money, it was about manipulation, power, and the complete betrayal of trust. The gruesome nature of the case sparked widespread public shock and media coverage across the UK and internationally. Headlines referred to the Suitcase murders and the Bridge Killer, with news outlets highlighting the disturbing contrast between the victims' quiet lives and the horror that unfolded in their home. Many in the LGBTQ+ community expressed fear and grief, especially given the vulnerability of older queer couples who rely on trust in intimate relationships. Discussions emerged around the risks involved in transactional encounters, the blurred lines of consent, and how digital platforms can enable exploitation. Online forums and social media lit up with theories, outrage, and calls for deeper background checks on adult service platforms. Commentators were especially disturbed by the footage reportedly showing Mosquera singing and dancing after the killings, interpreting it as evidence of a complete lack of remorse. For neighbors in Shepherd's Bush and Bristol, the case left a lasting impact. What was once an ordinary flat and a famous bridge had become the symbols of a tragedy that still felt unreal. As of May 2025, the trial of Yostin Mosquera is still underway at the Old Bailey. The court has heard extensive forensic testimony, viewed security footage, and examined digital evidence linking him directly to both victims' deaths and the aftermath. Mosquera continues to deny both counts of murder but has admitted to the manslaughter of Albert Alfonso. He claims that the stabbing occurred during consensual sexual activity and that he did not intend to kill. He has not accepted any responsibility for the death of Paul Longworth. The court has yet to reach a verdict, and the jury is expected to deliberate in the coming weeks. If convicted of murder, Mosquera could face a life sentence with a minimum term set by the judge. The outcome now rests on whether the jury believes the killings were part of a premeditated plan or if there is any credibility to the defense's claim that the deaths were not intentional. Observers expect the case to set precedents in how courts handle crimes that involve complex interpersonal dynamics, adult service arrangements, and digitally documented acts of violence. Even with the trial underway and evidence laid bare, many questions remain unanswered. What exactly caused Mosquera to cross the line from guest to killer? Was this planned from the moment he arrived in London, or did something trigger a deadly decision in the days that followed? Why did he record himself after the murders, appearing calm, even celebratory? Was it detachment, narcissism, or a disturbing need to control the narrative? And what was his endgame? Was it simply to extract money, or was the violence itself part of the motive? Some also wonder if there were warning signs missed by the couple, or if anyone else in Mosquera's circle suspected he was capable of such acts. His online searches, secret recordings, and calculated cleanups suggest this was not a spontaneous act of panic, but something far colder. As the public continues to follow the case, the emotional toll on the victims' families and the larger community remains heavy. The legal process may soon deliver a verdict, but the emotional and moral weight of what happened will linger much longer. This case isn't just about violence, it's about trust, manipulation, and the terrifying reality that people can hide their darkest intentions behind a familiar face. Two men opened their home to someone they believed they knew. What followed was a carefully planned betrayal that left a nation horrified and a community grieving. As the trial reaches its final stages, one thing is clear. No matter the verdict, the story of Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth has already become one of the most disturbing cases in recent memory. If this case moved you or shocked you, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think justice will be served? And what warning signs, if any, do you think were missed? Make sure to subscribe for more true crime stories that go beyond the headlines. Real cases, real people, and truths that are sometimes too dark to ignore.